He bet $1 million he could go from 0 to 90 days into $1 million business with $100 starting and a pickup truck. So guys, this is how it's going down on Undercover Billionaire with my man Grant Cardone, and I just watched the very first episode, and this is what I think about it. Let's dive into it.
Welcome to the Smack Fest, the beat down. The SWAT team is here on another beautiful day of shutting the week down.
And for just meeting, my name is William, millionaire, entrepreneur, and real estate investor, just like my man Grant Cardone. And this is exactly what happened. So he literally shaved his head, he was dropped off at a random city, and he had to fend for himself. And if he went starving, he ran out of that $100 he started with, well, guess what? He actually went hungry. So really important entrepreneurial lessons that he does that I noticed that is imperative if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur. And I picked it up, and I hope you did too if you've seen it already. So this is kind of how it went down, and this is what I think about it as a business owner myself and an entrepreneur, and one day hopefully to be as successful as him. So this is what happened. All right, so he basically stumbles into this RV park, right? And he talked to the owner, and he was like, "Hey, I'm here. I want to help. I want to do something." And what's very important about the first scene is he shows up not saying, "Hey, I need a job," a J-O-B, right? He didn't ask for a job. He came to the owner offering value, basically saying, "Hey, I want to come to you, and I want to offer you my services. What can I do for you to help you out," right? Because everybody else, when they approach, they go, "Well, how much does it pay? And how many hours can you give me," right? Like, that's like the standard mantra where everybody, that's what they're expecting, right? When they sit down in the office. And he was like, "Hey, I want to help you out. Like, tell me what I can do. I need a bed to stay, but I don't want to mooch. What can I do to bring value enough where you will let me stay at least a couple nights? What can I do? I'm sure we can work something out." So that was kind of the first scene. And as an entrepreneur, it was really coming out because, hey, you don't have a lot to offer except for you're willing to do what you need to do, and you want to go in there with as much value add as possible. And here's another example. So the next day, he sees a really nice Jeep, a 2019, I think it was a gray Jeep that the owner owned, right? It was wife's, and it didn't drive very good in snow, right? And I remember little things like that. And he said, hey, he went to the owner and said, "How much are you selling this Jeep for," right? And this is money sitting in the parking lot that anybody could make, and he saw it because he was an entrepreneur. And this is what he said. He goes, "Hey, you're selling that Jeep, right? What will you take for it?" "Okay, cool. I think I can get a little bit more, so I'm going to put my name on that window. I'm going to work as a middleman, and if I can sell it for, let's say, I think it was like $38,000, right? And you're good with 35, you see what I'm saying? I just made $3,000 this week, potentially, if you can sell it in 1 week, right? With no money out of pocket, just providing value to help it get sold. You get to pocket the difference, and you had nothing invested except for your time and your knowledge as an entrepreneur." And next, what he does is he asks that business owner, he says, "Hey, I know you're a business owner. I know, obviously, you're an entrepreneur. Who do you have as a friend that you can connect me with that I think that we can network and we can figure something out," right? So he's like, "Hey, I got a friend that has like 6 or 7 businesses, right? Why don't you go talk to him, see what you guys can figure out," right? So he showed up, and this is where it got interesting. This is where I really started liking this show, because he initially got kicked out. Like, the owner of this particular gym, he also owned like a mattress store and some others, but this guy, like, he saw cameras around, he's like, "I don't know what's going on, you guys need to leave," right? And Grant was I've never seen him like this, but he was pretty crushed, right? I mean, like, I would be too, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious that, if you get kicked out and you're on camera and, you're Grant Cardone, but nobody knows, that's kind of the caveat here, is nobody knows who you are. It really shows the realistic aspect of coming in when nobody knows you. Like, if you go in there like, "Yo, got my suit on, Grant Cardone, let's talk," everybody's going to talk with you. However, if you walk in there and you look semi-homeless and you drive a truck that's worth $2,000 and you want to bring value to somebody's business, it's really hard to get that conversation going. So initially, he had a hard time. He got booted, but I like it because it showed us as the audience that this isn't maybe as scripted as I was hoping it wouldn't be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping that the people don't actually know he's Grant Cardone. They're not like playing this weird game, like being that he booted him out and Grant was obviously upset. I mean, that almost makes me feel like that maybe this show is a little bit more realistic than I was thinking. And if you guys like this content so far, consider smashing that like button. Let me know in the comments below, kind of, as I'm talking, like, what do you guys think about it? What do you think episode 2 is gonna be like? Could you even do it yourself? Like, let me know. I'm super curious to know, because this is really cool. It's not just, hey, I got a billionaire who's gonna work under his own company, he's gonna see what it's like to be a worker, and then take his jet back home to his mansion. Like, this is literally like, I'm gonna start with nothing, I'm gonna do it in 90 days, watch me kind of thing, right? And even if he doesn't make the $1 million in 90 days, guys, even if he made like $110,000, like, I'm just throwing a number out there, like, totally random, like, that's super impressive, guys. That's 90 days. Like, he doesn't have to hit the million to be super impressive. And realistically, I don't really care how much he gets. It's just, what can he do in that 90 days? Even if it's like, like I said, about 100 grand, like that, how impressive is that? But what you need to get from watching this show is how entrepreneurs think. And I haven't got to my main point yet. So how entrepreneurs think, how they're approaching people, the value add that they're offering. They're not saying, I want to take, how much can you give me? They're saying, what can I give you? What do you need? What can I offer? I'm sure you need something. Every entrepreneur needs something, right? If I came to you as an entrepreneur and was like, hey, I want to add value to you, what can I do? Oh, and I need a place to stay, by the way, but I need to do something. Tell me what I can do to help you. You're going to think for 10 seconds you're probably going to tell me something, right? But get this, guys. So he's driving around, and we all know that Grant Cardone is one of the best commercial real estate investors, guys, probably out there. Like, if there's somebody better, like, he's not, as what he would call it, omnipresence, right? I don't know his name. I'm sure there might be somebody somewhere, but nevertheless, Grant Cardone is the big one. He has the space, he has the name, that kind of thing, right? What's very important, and what I think a lot of people are going to get lost at, only because I'm a real estate investor as well, is when he's driving and he's looking at these huge, like, commercial buildings, right? Like, tens of millions of dollars potentially, depending on the area, right? He's like, oh man, if I can acquire that building and I can do something with that building. I know a lot of people are thinking, dude, you've got like a net worth of like $60.31 right now. Like, why are you looking at a building? Like, the average person wouldn't even consider, like, even in their tiniest corner of their brain, consider a commercial building. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, how do you buy something like that when you don't have any money? Except for when you understand the game of real estate, such as Grant Cardone and myself to a degree, right? In real estate investing, you gotta understand this. If you can bring some value to an investor or a pool of investors, called a syndicate, by the way, you can put together a deal and you can take a cut when you have nothing invested monetarily yourself. And this is kind of how it happens, right? So say he found a building and it was worth, let's just say $10 million, right? And it needed like $6 million in rehab. Not just rehab of like put it back to an industrial building, but like maybe like, and I'm talking like $6 million maybe for the first handful of floors. Like, it's probably not gonna do the whole building depending on the condition, right? But this is how it works, right? So I'm gonna bring a different idea, something to maybe that business owner or that already syndicate that has that property. And I'm gonna say this to them and say, hey, look, I know that this building will do well when it's set up as this, right? And you could show them different examples and say this. I'm going to show you the numbers that if this was, let's guess, I don't know what, if this was a hotel, a 80-room hotel right here, this is the kind of numbers it would make per room. This would be the estimated revenue. This is, and you could lay it all out with them, right? And say, this is the rehab, this is the ROI, the return on investment, right? And you could lay it all out and you might get a pool of 6, 7 investors, give or take, depending on the scope of the project. And next thing you know, you've got a project going. You can turn it and sell it to a larger syndicate as a turnkey, ready to go operation, basically a turnkey investment building. And let me tell you something, guys. If somebody can buy a turnkey investment building and the numbers can make sense, it's a done deal every time, because every investor that's looking for commercial property, it's the holy grail of commercial property, is a turnkey building that the numbers actually work on, right? It's really, really hard to find. That's usually why commercial property buyers such as Grant Cardone are looking for what's called value add buildings. But if they can bring and turn something into a valued property over what they have into it and then turn it right over to somebody else, freshly renovated, ready to go, great ROI, maybe a 19 cap or even more. And basically that's money on money per year, like 19%, plus the appreciation, plus the equity, because if they bought it for 21 million and then they can fill it up basically and then do what's called stabilize, or at least show on the balance sheet that it's been, occupied for so long, over the course of a year or two. It's called stabilize. And then that property, not only did they buy for 21 million, for instance, but then they can turn around a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, and then they could actually offload it for 28, 30 million dollars. You see what I'm saying? And everybody is happy because Grant Cardone possibly just made his million on one single deal. Now, will this happen in 90 days? Probably not. That would be a big scope of the building, but you can do a certain amount of floors. Like, you don't have to do the whole building. You can do, say, we're going to do, 5 floors. We're going to get these floors filled. We're going to get them stabilized. We're going to work on the next floors. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a commercial building builder, but that's kind of his thought process when he's driving through is, I need to find people that have the money. I have the knowledge. Let me prove it to them. They'll put the money in. Think about it. If you're an investor and you have the money and I can prove to you that this concept works and I can show you all the numbers and everything and make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, you are going to want to give me the money real quick, and it doesn't matter my net worth, does it? I'm super excited to see the upcoming seasons, and I know you guys are probably too. If you guys like content like this, I make several videos on real estate investing per week on passive income, and I would love for you to join my channel. Any questions, let me know in the comment, and until the next time, I'll see you on the next one.